you can see the original model next to the fixed model here. With textures enabled on both models, it is clear that textures need to be fixed on one of them. This is why we created the duplicate. In order to bake the original textures onto the fixed model, we need to go to Edit Mode. Then we need to set the user interface to UV Editing mode. Since selecting Edit Mode automatically selects all the vertices, the UV maps present on the model are already selected. While doing this step, it is important to ensure that you have the fixed model selected. If you do not see any UVs on the left-hand side of your screen, then you will need to create some. You can do this by going to Mesh, UV Unwrap, and selecting Smart UV Project. Use the default settings and select OK. Blender will begin to calculate the UV maps for your model. It is clear that the new UV maps do not match up with the texture image. In order to transfer or bake the image texture onto the fixed model, you need to create a blank canvas that is assigned to the UV maps. In order to do this, select Image, New, set the name as Texture. You also need to set the image resolution. Here, I have it set to 4096 by 4096. Once everything is filled out, hit OK. You can now see that the texture image assigned to the UVs is blank. Set your user interface to default and enter object mode. What we are going to do now is make it so that the texture on the fixed model is as good as the texture on the original model. While the texture is completely black, with matte cap on, you can see that the mesh has all of its details. Click the Camera tab under your Objects list. Scroll down to your Bake menu. Using this menu, we can bake the original textures to the fixed model. Set your Bake mode to Textures and check Selected to Active. Next, you need to set your margin. I typically do about an 8. Next, you need to select your original object and hold Shift on your keyboard to select your fixed object. Scroll down and hit Bake. Blender will begin to bake the textures from the original model onto your fixed model. It is absolutely essential that both models be in the exact same position for this bake to go correctly. If not, it will bake it relative to its position. Now that the bake has completed, your textures have been successfully transferred from your original model to your fixed model. Having these textures enabled will be a huge resource for detailing the model in the steps to come. You can now delete the original unfixed model from your scene. It is a good idea to save your Blender project at this point. Saving your Blender project and exporting your OBJ file are two separate operations. Next, export your OBJ by going to File, Export, Wavefront OBJ, and be sure to be aware where you export your OBJ file to. Now we need to save the actual texture image. Enter UV Editing User Interface mode. Ensure that the image is on the screen. Select Image, Save as Image, and save the image in the same directory that you exported your OBJ file to.